Chefs, what's one rule of cooking amateurs need to know?
Late AF, but you're just going to enjoy cooking more if you have a sharp knife. No clue how people can hack away at veggies and meat. No reason to go insane either. A $30 Victorinox and $5 sharpener will get you a very long way.
Please taste what you're cooking before serving it.
I worked in a kitchen for a year and a line cook always tasted to make sure it was good, even if he cooked a dish a million times he would. Our FOH manager had to manage the kitchen for 1 week. He comes in one day to our cook tasting food and loses his poo. Tells the guy to stop stealing company food and that he'll be fired if he does it again. Cook tries to explain why he does it and why it's important. FOH manager doesn't want to hear any of it. 2 days later, same manager comes back and complains that a certain dish doesn't taste as good as it did before. It was a no-poo Sherlock moment for that cook and a reason to never let the FOH manager near the kitchen again. Edit, FOH equals front of house.
This one's kind of common sense, but hotter doesn't mean faster. Turning your burners up to 10 for everything will just lead to smoke and half-cooked food with a burned exterior. Edit. After seeing the responses, I wanted to add an additional note. High heat isn't a devil that should always be avoided, like some people have intimated. High heat can and should be used when appropriate, especially if you know how to control your heat on a stovetop by moving the pan itself on and off the heat and keeping the food moving constantly. This tip was meant more for the folks that just crank the burner to 10 for literally everything and wonder why their grilled cheese is charred black on the outside and not melted on the inside.
That being said, a lot of times inexperienced cooks won't let their pan get hot enough. Obviously you need to know how your particular pans work on your particular stovetop, but so many dishes are ruined from the start because people just light a stove, wait 5 seconds, and toss their ingredients in. You will never get a good sear when your ingredients are basically boiling in their own moisture.
Smell is very similar to taste, and if you're not sure about combining various spices, open the bottles and smell them all together.
Have a friend that lost his smell from COVID. And now he only recognizes if food is salty, sweet, sour or bitter.
Taste the food.
Also, don't be afraid to poke and prod at it. I feel like people think the process is sacred and you can't shape, flip, feel, touch things while you cook them. The more you are hands-on, the more control you have. Edit. A few people have pointed out that no, this does not include situations where you are trying to sear something. Ever try flipping a chicken thigh early? That's how you rip a chunk out of it and leave it glued to the pan until it's burnt.
Salt, pepper and acid will brighten up almost any dish. If an otherwise wonderful dish is just missing something, add salt, pepper and lemon juice, then reassess.
There's a book called Salt, Fat, Acid, Heat that comes highly recommended to amateur cooks.
I've never read it. Based on just the title, I endorse it. I watched a Gordon Ramsay show where he said, if it's brown, it's cooked, if it's black, it's F-ed. He was right.
Tell people you're behind them when cooking is involved. Behind.
Carrying a hot pot behind someone. Hot behind.
A lot of the time when people add salt to a dish because they think it tastes flat, what it really needs is an acid like lemon juice or vinegar.
Yes, or tomatoes. They're pretty acidic too and go with so many things. Our dinners are so much better once the garden tomatoes are ripe. Or if a dish is too acidic, oil, butter or a little sugar can help add balance to it. Don't use wet towels, learn they're the hard way.
Oof yeah, I didn't realize a pot holder was wet until I had the pan halfway out of the oven once. Burned the palm of my hand all the way across and nursed the blister for a week. Be careful where you place them.
Not a chef, but no sharps left in the sink.
My mom, God bless her, was always bad at this. I had to drive my dad to the hospital on Christmas to get stitched up after plunging into the sink to do dishes only to grab the blade of the carving knife. She doesn't do it anymore.
Learn how to properly store raw ingredients in a fridge. Raw chicken on bottom. Understand times and temps. It's possible to stack times and ingredients so that your food is done at the same time. Drink heavily and get a neck tattoo of a pig or tomato, or no one will take you seriously.
Preheat your pan. It's a simple trick, but it will improve your cooking. A small amount of oil will go a long way. When you take steak or pork or lamb off of the heat or out of the oven, always give it time to rest. usually half the amount of time you cook them, and I tend to loosely cover them in tinfoil.
Don't choose this as a career if you want a social life. I've seen so many talented people drop the job because they don't get to spend time with their friends and family. People plan gatherings and parties at the times restaurants are busiest, so you could end up cooking for the people you know but not getting to interact with them.
Friends of over 10 years still don't get this part of kitchen life. Always missing non-work friends events. Work is your social life. This is one of the things about the industry I both love and hate. Not really a cooking tip, but a law of the kitchen: a falling knife has no handle.
I'm always so proud of my reflexes for not kicking in when I fumble a knife. If I drop anything else, my stupid hands are all over themselves trying to catch it, and often failing. But with a knife the hardwired automatic reaction is jump back immediately, fingers out of the way, feet out of the way, everything out of the way. Good looking out, cerebellum. You can always add, but you cannot take away. Edit. Thanks for the awards.
I find people's problems usually are they're too scared to add rather than they add too much. When you grab a pair of tongs, click them a few times to make sure they are tongs.
People really overlook this one. You've got to tong the tongs a minimum of 3 times to make sure they tong, or else it can ruin the whole dish.
Really think about what size you're cutting your vegetables in relation to cook time. It's better to have a perfectly cooked larger vegetable that you have to use fork and knife a bit to eat at the table than a bunch of overcooked, mushy bite-sized pieces. Generally speaking, the best simple preparation of cooking a vegetable is usually roasted on a sheet pan with olive oil, S&P. And for God's sakes, make your own salad dressings fresh. It takes no time, you likely have what you already need in your pantry and it tastes 10x as good as the crap in the bottle. You'll be surprised even how much better ranch dressing tastes if you get the dry seasoning packets and mix it with some fresh milk and mayo and let it set for 30 minutes in the refrigerator.
Roasted vegetables are great. I used to hate them, and my problem was I wasn't roasting them long enough. They'd either be hard and undercooked, or mushy. The key for me was to cook them past the mushiness stage to get them to where a lot of moisture is out of them and they have browned a bit, or more.
Never ever ever throw water on a grease fire, link. Don't try moving it either. Turn off the heat, place a lid on it or smother it with baking soda, if you don't have a fire extinguisher. Also, consider buying a fire extinguisher if you don't already have one. Edit. And don't put a hot pan in the sink and soak it in water, totally ruins the pan.
Patience, planning, and good organization. Patience, planning, brine your chicken. Let the rice dry before you make fried rice. Slow cook your meats. Overall the actual time you invest is about the same but it requires some foresight. Don't expect to just grab a chicken breast out of freezer and be able to make a delicious meal in 20 minutes. A lot of the best dishes take some time to let the flavors do their work. Organization, it's a lot more enjoyable when you can focus on cooking instead of digging around for things you need or clearing space on your counter. Have a good set of glass Tupperware to save leftovers. Get stackable matching cookware that's easy to manage and store. Ziploc bags are great too. These things pay for themselves in giving you general sanity and making it more likely you will consume your leftovers and always have things in their place.
Keep it simple. I see so many young chefs coming into the kitchen fresh out of the classroom going hell for leather to make some strange gels, jellies, dehydrated this and that. Yes, it can taste great, but just chill out. Show me if you can make a proper jus, properly cook a joint of meat, know how to bring the best out of a simple, humble vegetable. Just keep it simple. Peas, salt, acid, fat, in the right balance can go AFN long way. P.S. Watch out for that effing mandolin, it will take no prisoners.
RIPP. Rest in peace Pinky.
Oh, I have lost a few fingertips unfortunately.
Clean as you go. Done with the cutting board. Wash it or put it away before you move on to the next step. A clean kitchen makes your life way easier.
I learned to cook like this since I started living on my own at 17 I'm 29, and my apartment was so small I didn't have space to be messy. Now, in my current home we have a big kitchen, so when I finish cooking the kitchen is almost clean. But for my GF, it's her first time living on it's her own, less than 1 year, and when she cooks. Oh god, kitchen looks like Vietnam. I get an anxiety attack every time sad face. And #X200B. Edit. Living on her, asterisk own. My bad lol.
Never fry, sauté etc. nude.
Not a professor chef. Mashed potatoes. Not blended potatoes. Don't ever put potatoes in the blender, it will turn into glue. For anyone wondering the science behind it, potatoes contain a lot of starch. Mashing cooked potatoes gently by hand or with a ricer leaves most of the starch molecules intact. The butter and dairy you add to the mashed potatoes are able to coat each individual particle, making the potatoes creamy.
Wear a tall hat to hide the rat.
Not a chef but avid barbecue smoker. Let your meat rest after cooking.
Could you explain this to me? Like, is the purpose to let the meat cool so the juices stay in, or what?
I'm not going to be able to hold myself to one rule. Sorry not sorry. Asterisk mise en place asterisk. It's French for putting in place or something like that. It means before you start the actual cooking, get everything you'll need for the whole recipe out on the counter, do all your prep work, measuring amounts, chopping onions, peeling potatoes, seasoning meat, greasing pans, whatever the recipe says, and put it all within arm's reach of where you'll be cooking. As you become more experienced, you'll get a feel for what can wait to be done during downtime mid-cooking, but even then mise is just less of a hassle. Asterisk don't rely on a single recipe asterisk. If you want to try to make something you had at a restaurant and Google chicken a la whatever, don't just randomly pick one of the results to try. Read a few of them and cook the one that comes closest to being the average of all the others. Way too many internet recipes aren't actually tested by their authors, and professionals are actually worse than amateurs about it. They're used to eyeballing measurements because they know what the right amount looks like, and when they write it down it's all guesswork. Asterisk asterisk fat, salt, sour, bitter asterisk asterisk. If it's bland, add some fat. If it's still bland, add some salt. If it's still bland, add some vinegar or lemon juice. If it's still bland, add some herbs and spices or green vegetables. This is even something you can do late in the cooking process to fix a recipe that's turning out boring. Just remember that a little goes a long way. Also, there are magic ingredients that combine several of these at once. For example, olive oil is very fatty and slightly bitter, cheese is very fatty, moderately salty, and slightly sour, soy sauce is very salty and slightly bitter, citrus zest is very bitter and moderately sour. Asterisk asterisk measure by weight, not volume asterisk asterisk. This is more for baking than cooking. Baking is very sensitive to small changes in the ratio of different ingredients, and you'll have a lot easier time getting it right if you use a scale. Flour is especially problematic. If you scoop up a cup of freshly sifted flour and level it off, so you have exactly a cup, then spend a couple of minutes lightly tapping it on the countertop and shaking it from side to side, it'll settle and pack more tightly, and the exact same amount of flour will only take up 3/4 of a cup. Don't play that game, just weigh it and be done. If a recipe says 1 cup of flour, use 130 grams. Bonus, weighing stuff means you don't have to wash a bunch of funny shaped measuring cups and spoons.
The herbs thing. As a very amateur cook, I started just randomly throwing an assortment of herbs into my tomato sauce, and suddenly it tasted 1,000,000 times better.
You don't need to buy pre-made spice rubs. Look at the ingredients and build a well-stocked pantry. Celebrity-endorsed cookware isn't always good, a lot of it sucks. Don't cheap out on knives, buy forged, not stamped. Store raw meat accordingly, don't cross-contaminate your fridge. Knife magnet strips are better than knife blocks. This is obvious, but never put a cast iron in the dishwasher. Don't boil the poo out of potatoes to make mash. Rinse raw rice before cooking. Mise en place. Edit. Plenty of good stamped knives out there, my bad. Edit 2. Think very hard before going to a culinary school. A lot of poo out there, expensive poo. Edit 3. Loving the responses. I've been out of the chef game for a while, feels good to talk shop again.
When a dish calls for a certain amount of wine, it is recommended to consume an equal amount of wine whilst cooking said dish.
I'm gonna make beef bourguignon for the whole extended family and get poo-faced in the process then. I don't speak French.
D'accord.
Thank you for watching. We upload new videos every day, so be sure to come back for more fun. Please consider liking and subscribing if you enjoyed the video.